All right, greetings, folks. Welcome, welcome. This is another edition of Make Technology Work for You. I'm your host, Jason Thigpen. I am the lead IT advisor and the founder of Just Right Technology, where we make technology work for you. The goal of our sessions here is to really share tips, advice, and suggestions around how you can make technology work for you more effectively, more efficiently, and so that you can become more productive. The belief here is that technology is just a tool. It is not this complex system or platform or myriad of hardware and software that has all these complexities, right? Everything within technology under IT uh, can be categorized as a tool, a useful resource for you. So we really try to educate not only our clients, but people that we work with on how to use technology in a more effective way. So hopefully you'll get something out of it. Today, in particular, I want to talk about a new course offering that I'm going to start in 2021. It is going to be geared toward working professionals and creatives, folks who might have entrepreneurial endeavors or side hustles, if you will, but still maintain a full time job. Reason being, I have known for a very long time, and I think many of us have felt the need to always stimulate our income and our earnings through second or third work endeavors, whether that is a side job or a part time job or something seasonal. We always feel the need to create additional income and earnings for ourselves. So um, this is me really just focusing on that need and crafting it in a way that I've done for myself for many years and teaching you and sharing with you some of the ways you can do it for yourself. I myself prefer to be an entrepreneur, so I have worked more towards becoming that full time and being able to run and operate my own business. But I have met many people over the years, most of which who also have businesses or side hustles, if you will, that still maintain full-time jobs. They like what they do. They enjoy the space that they're in, but they just want to continue to scale and grow at a moderate pace. So this is really for those folks who don't have a true desire to leave their job, but definitely have interest in other things that they're working on that if they were able to increase would definitely make their lives more effective and more pleasant, if you will, and give them more satisfaction. So the goal and or the subject matter is going to be increasing your value by 20% or $20,000. Reason being, because as I said, I'm targeting professionals and creatives. So there are some people who really do enjoy what they do, but understand that they might be pigeonholed, if you will, in a salary cap. So they're really just trying to earn additional money. And so we'll talk about ways in which you can take your side hustle or your business that you work part time and ensure that you're increasing it by 20%. But then for those folks who are working professionals who recognize that there is room to grow and there is room for a change, we're going to help you figure out how you can get an increase of $20,000 in earnings for the year 2021. Some of the topics that we're going to cover, just to give you some insight and a little bit of a clue as to what we're going to be talking about and what I'm going to be sharing. Um, we're going to be talking about your self value and your self worth. That's very, very important. Something that I realized very early on, regardless of the path that I took, when I wanted to become an IT professional, and then also when I wanted to become a business owner. The reality of it is that I had to make the decision for myself. I couldn't base it on my experience. I couldn't base it on my credentials or what someone else had told me, but I needed to make the decision for myself. And in making a decision for myself, I needed to be very, very aware of who I was and how I was going to represent myself in this world. Now, of course, I didn't have the answer to those questions in the beginning, and it took some time. But what I've learned is I've learned how to share those things with others so that you can do it for yourself. Things that people have told me that I didn't even realize about myself. Being confident, self-reliant, determined, persistent. These are all things that I learned on my journey to becoming an IT professional and an entrepreneur. Strengths and weaknesses. This is a big topic. This is one that I think you'll see across many courses that deal with personal matters or professional wellness, the idea that you need to assess what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are is important. This happens in many professional circles when you're talking about assessments, whether it's a 360 review, whether it's one-on-one trainings, mentorships. Going over what your strengths and weaknesses are will drastically improve many things in your life, not just your finances or your income. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what it looks like to address those strengths and weaknesses, to rely on them in some cases, because we don't want to believe that we can't ever change. And we also don't want to believe that we can immediately change everything overnight. All right. Everything is a process and everything takes time. And so when you jot down specifically the things that you recognize you either want to change or mitigate, right? You'll put yourself on a really strong path to success. The next topic is spectrum of change. All right. This talks a little bit about what we just covered and the idea that once we recognize that there are some things that you want to change, there are some things that you need to change. How do we go about that? How do you create a timetable for yourself that actually manages your progress, that actually tracks your progress? These are all things that we can talk about on the spectrum of change. It's a very visual tool that I've used over the years. It's helped me not only in professional spaces, it's also helped me in academic spaces. I've played high school football. I competed in collegiate track. Um, and these are things that I've adopted from those experiences that helped me. Even being a teacher, right? Visualizing myself and understanding that on that first day as a teacher, being very nervous, not knowing what to teach, not knowing how the children were going to be receptive to you, having a visual aid that let me realize that it's okay to mess up. You're going to get better and you're going to do it this way really made a big difference. So we'll cover that. The next topic, which really is also important, is personal management, right? Once we cover strengths and weaknesses, once we create a spectrum of change for you, then we're going to address how you're going to manage yourself personally, right? What are you going to do day in, day out, week in, week out, and then month to month to ensure that you are keeping yourself balanced, making sure that whatever issues you have, you are creating a plan to address them, whether that is health issues, right? Whether you're dealing with mental health issues, physical health issues. Some of us also have emotional health issues, things that really affect how we show up in the world needs to be addressed. So we'll talk about how you actually go about that. And we'll do it one step at a time because we don't want to believe, once again, that uh, we can change everything overnight or that we can't change anything, right? Both those things are false narratives. You can make really, really strong, firm changes in your life with a proper plan and effective motivation. Okay, next we'll talk about professional awareness. Okay, professional awareness really starts to dig deep into how much you know about the space you're in. How much do you know about the company you work for? How much do you know about the industry that your company is a part of? How much do you know about the role or the position that you have at your company, right? How much do you understand about how your industry relates to other industries that, other sectors you're in parallel with, the competition, just anything around being a professional and being aware of the space you're in is really, really important because you can't even decide on what direction to go in if you don't understand the many paths that are laid out before you. So that's why professional awareness is really important. That's something that I really took advantage of in any space that I was able to enter. I always learned, I always asked questions, and I always made sure that those answers meant something to me and my goals. That's really important. It's not enough to just ask, be inquisitive, but you have to be targeted and you also have to be very creative sometimes because not every professional space is meant for a myriad of questions to be answered. So you have to be very clever on how you decide to go about it. There were some spaces that I was able to work in where the people were very receptive and they were willing to share simply because no one ever asked them questions. People never stopped to say, hey, what do you do? What is this team? Well, how do you work with this team and how do you communicate? Are you guys forward facing? Do you deal with clients? Like so many things that you can find out just by having simple conversations with people. Leaving the water cooler chat to just that, especially in the time of COVID now, you're in a space where your conversation has way more substance to it without you recognizing it because so much more is happening to everyone in a targeted way that there is way more things to talk about and way more information to kind of dig into and find out, not just personally, right? I think people, especially in professional spaces, make a big deal about getting to know people, which is great, but there's so much that can also be found out or discovered when we just talk about what we do and how we represent ourselves professionally. I learned a great deal about people that I've worked with in spaces where we just had time to focus on what we did, right? Because it showed people's passion, it shows people's reluctance to kind of either give up or pursue and push ahead. You also got to see people in different forms of themselves, right? People who weren't necessarily leaders want to lead. People who weren't necessarily followers want to follow. These things can tell you a lot about the people you work with and also give you a perspective on your industry. So, uh, professional awareness is a big one, which is why we leave it towards the end. The last two items really are where we get to more of a now it's time to execute, right? And those are industry position and action items. So industry position really speaks to um, the findings from your professional awareness. Do you understand that, like for instance, COVID right now is really tough on the restaurant industry. People have lost their jobs, businesses have closed, and owners and operators are quite honestly frustrated with the lack of preparedness and response that they've gotten from local and national government as far as solutions to how they stay operating as a business. This can be really, really tough on you if you want to be in this space because you might have set out on a path that would include you also owning and operating your own restaurant. And so you might feel snubbed in a way as if that dream is now dead, that you must now shift everything you want to do. And that's not necessarily true as long as you do a little research on the industry you're in and the professional space that you've been navigating. You'll probably find out that there are not only opportunities for you, but there is still a path to getting your goal. And so we'll talk about that in industry position, really understanding the position of your industry currently and where it's going to go in the future. And then the action items are self-explanatory, right? We're literally just speaking to your action items. What are the steps you're going to take to now start to accomplish the goals that we've set out so that you can actually reach that 20% or that $20,000 increase in earnings and income. So hopefully people are interested. I already have a couple of friends that I know I've worked with who told me that they were interested. I'm going to share this information with them so that they can get a sneak peek as to what we'll be talking about and what we'll be offering. The course will run throughout 2021. It will be a monthly course. It'll all be online and virtual. The live sessions will be available for folks who buy into the course, but then there will be repeated snippets that will be made public for free just to continue to give people opportunities to learn from the experience and also gain some traction as far as getting the information out. I think it's very important and very crucial that we have multiple skills and we also continue to push toward having multiple paths of income. And hopefully this will do that for individuals who participate. I know a lot of things that I've spoken about and that we've created for this course has helped me over the years, and hopefully it will help you. So Thank you for joining us in this session. Like I said, we'll have more information as far as that's concerned. Join us next week for another session of Make Technology Work for You. I'm your host, Jason Thigpen, and we'll talk soon.